What's up, Nation? If you're looking for more Raiders draft videos, because let's face it, the silver and black, they're not in the playoffs, but you know what? I'm going to be doing draft targets, top players that you should go out and get, mock drafts. If you want more draft videos around the Las Vegas Raiders, then hit that subscribe button. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and before we get into our Raiders big board for the 2023 NFL Draft, today's show is presented by our good friends, True Classic Tees, and if anybody wants to get their hands on the shirt that I'm wearing, or just realistically really comfortable shirts in general, 25% off your order at trueclassic.com/chat. Make sure you use promo code CHATATWELL at checkout. We're going to put that link in the comments and in the description. That way there are no excuses for you not being able to wear these shirts. So what I figured I would end up doing here is giving you my top 10 players, and I am going to have them ranked from 10 and work my way all the way down to 1. The top 10 players on the Raiders big board. Obviously, I don't know what McDaniels is thinking. I don't know what Dave Ziegler is thinking, but I've made this video for her basically every year I've run this show, and I can confidently say my big board has been better than Gruden's, and it's been better than Mayock's. I'm not saying it's going to be better than this year with Ziegler and McDaniels. I actually hope it isn't. All I know is this. If I was in that war room with those two guys, these would be the top 10 players that I would have for the Raiders at pick number 7. Let's get into it now. We got number 10 coming in here. It's Kelee Ringo, the cornerback out of Georgia. I have seen the draft community be very split on this young man here because he is a really good athlete, and he has the size. If you were to look at him in terms of a prototypical cornerback, one that's just a freak of nature, he'd probably be the guy that you would end up building on Madden. However, his technique needs some work. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If he wants to be able to take that next step and be a legit shutdown corner in the NFL, the technique needs to get better. He's a good man corner, and he can cover big tight ends. He can cover big wide receivers, which you like to see. At 6'2", 210 pounds, this past year at Georgia, 42 tackles, 2 interceptions, 7 pass breakups. The one thing, though, that I am a little bit worried is Georgia's defense was stacked. What happens if he were to go to a Raiders defense that might not be able to get as much pressure, and then you get put out on an island and you don't have the technique game in and game out? You will get exposed a little bit. And at times at Georgia, he just looked like this unbelievable dude. But I do want to see how he adapts and how much better he can get going to the next level. So the pinned comment that's going to be here on today's show is, who do you want the Raiders to draft at number 7? You're going to get hit with the YouTube ad break, and I want all of y'all to scroll on down and let me know who you want the Raiders to take at number 7. Let's go to number 9 on my list. Another cornerback here. It's Joey Porter Jr. I thought about breaking down all these Raiders draft needs. Let's face it, they got a lot of needs on defense, and they got some needs up front. He is a physical press man cornerback, and this dude's got great, and I mean great ball skills. Giggity. His father, Joey Porter, made the 2000s NFL All-Decade team. The reason why I like that, I'm not going to lie to you, I love when I can see a player who can learn from dad. Dad can be the best coach out there. And if Joey Porter knows how to have a great NFL career, I would imagine that he was able to pass that down to Porter. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I watch a lot of Penn State football. This kid is special. He's aggressive, and I like aggressive players. However, he can get a little aggressive, he can get a little handsy, and that might lead to some big-time penalties, especially at that next level. He's 6'2", he's 198 pounds. He's got the long range. I know a lot of y'all love him because he's from Bakersfield. He can be a really good corner. I do think that Ringo honestly has higher upside than Porter, but Porter right now, I would have more trust in him being an NFL-ready corner in Week 1. Good numbers last year for the Nittany Lions, but he is only number 9 on my list. Before I show you number 8, again, I'm going to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor, True Classic, and you can use promo code CHAT at trueclassic.com/chat. End the old year with a new you in clothes that give you the confidence to tackle those 2023 resolutions. Thanks to our sponsor, True Classic, you'll have everything you need to hit the gym, take it slow, or treat yourself to something nice. Fellas, I'm talking to you. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men look great in their tees, and now you can save big while you do so. For limited time, only get 25% off with code CHAT at trueclassic.com/chat. They give you the wide-shouldered, tapered bottom look we're all looking for, and the quality of the t-shirts is elite. From going to the gym to your first date, there's no better look than a fresh tee. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com/chat. That's with code chat, 25% off, code chat, plus free shipping included on purchases over $100. New year, new me, new tees. Thanks to True Classic Tees. If anybody's a golfer out there, I'm personally not. I've been trying to get better at it. These t-shirts I do think would be great for golfing. I mean, I don't know if you all can tell. A lot of stretch there, and they look phenomenal. Remember, link's going to be available for you guys in the comments and in the description of today's show. Let's go to number 8 here on my Raiders 2023 big board. It's Paris Johnson Jr., the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. To me, when I look at him, he's a left tackle. And if the Raiders were to take him, I'm being real with you, I think they would actually put Paris Johnson at left tackle, and then they would kick Colt Miller over to right tackle, and he's got experience playing over there. He also played left guard for the Ohio State Buckeyes, so his versatility might move him up a little bit more. He allowed 2 sacks in 2022, I will admit. Before the Michigan game, he allowed no sacks, no penalties. That's insane. He allowed a sack against Michigan. He allowed a sack against Georgia. Those 2 defenses, I would say, are probably your most prototypical NFL-ready defenses from this past year. His body control is elite. His ability to adjust the pass rushers, protect the pocket, it's great. And when you're looking at a dude that's that big, I want to be able to look at the footwork. He's got really good footwork. He's got that ability to stand and basically always have balance. At 6'6", 310 pounds, he's got good arms. I'm telling you right now, Carmen Bracillo would love to work with Paris Johnson. Now, remember, the draft, that's in April. Free agency's way before then. I could bump up Paris Johnson if the Raiders do decide to bring in quarterback Tom Brady. Let's go to number 7 here on my list. More defense. It's Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. Who likes athletes? If you like athletes, you're going to fall in love with Wilson. He is big, long, and strong. Y'all can type it with me. Giggity down in the comments. 50 total pressures this year. That's insane. His acceleration, it reminds me of a sports car. When the light hits green, he's going. Long strider. There's a times when he runs, and when I watch a prospect, especially an edge rusher, when you see strides as long as Wilson, it looks like he's a sprinter. He does need more technique. There's no doubt about that. When you play in the Big 12, you can win with strength, and he won with just being flat out the more athletic player. He's long, remember, and at 275 at 6'6", his upside to me is freakish. I also know a lot of people, since we're kind of here in the Dallas area at Chat Sports, a lot of people watch this kid in high school in Henderson. They can't stop ranting and raving about him. He is a really, really good player that I know a lot of y'all would like. 61 tackles, 7 sacks, 14.0 tackles for loss last year with the Red Raiders. So how about this question, y'all? What's the Raiders' biggest team need? You're entering the NFL draft. Obviously, I'm making this video in January. It's going to change, hopefully, come draft time. But as you sit down right now, what does the Raiders' biggest team need? I think a defensive tackle. I think of the offensive line, linebacker, corner. We could just flat out say it's defense. Let's go to number 6 here on my list. It's quarterback C.J. Stroud. And if you're watching this video is going to be out on Sunday. C.J. Stroud has yet to declare for the NFL draft at the time that I'm making this video. He's got to be able to do it by January 16th. But let's just talk about the type of player Stroud is. He's got the size, he's got arm strength, and he's got the accuracy to be a great NFL quarterback. He's a good pocket passer. He is a good athlete, but he is a pocket passer first. Here's the thing that I don't like. He does struggle to get outside of the pocket, and when things would break down for him with the Ohio State offense, he didn't look all that well. We got to be able to face the facts. Ohio State's going to put their quarterbacks in very good positions. You got great receivers, a great offensive line. It's one of the reasons why I think a lot of these Ohio State quarterbacks have struggled going to the NFL. But if you want to talk about raising your draft stock, what Stroud did against Georgia in the college football semifinal, 23 of 34, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, he was picking apart that defense. The Georgia Bulldogs won 42-41. We saw what they did to TCU. C.J. Stroud is a really good quarterback, and I was told by a source that I definitely trust that the Raiders like him, especially Dave Ziegler. I don't know if Stroud's going to fall to number 7. I don't even know if he comes out. Hell, there's some people that love Will Levis, and we'll talk about him here in just a second. C.J. Stroud, though, is a quarterback that could really shake things up in the NFL draft. Now, before we get into our top 5 players on our Raiders big board for 2023, I did do a 2023 Raiders mock draft, my first edition of this year. I'm going to be pumping out a whole bunch of, and I mean a whole bunch of mock drafts. If you like this video, I bet you like that mock as well. It's going to be in the comments and in the description of the video. Another reason to hit that subscribe button, and we'll show you why the Raiders Report is the #1 most watched Raiders show in the world. Let's go to number 5 here, the Northwestern offensive tackle, Peter Skoronski. The NFL world draft people that I've talked to, they're very, we'll say, up in arms about him. And there's going to be a lot of competition around this guy and where he gets picked because he's got short arms for an offensive tackle. I'm going to tell you right now, he's got short arms. But you know what? They said the exact same thing about his college teammate, Rashawn Slater, and Rashawn Slater right now is one of the best offensive tackles in the league. He could be, to me, though, no matter what he decides to do. He's going to be an elite offensive tackle. He can be an elite offensive guard. His athleticism is insane for somebody who's 6'4", 315 pounds, and he's an elite processor. What I like for offensive linemen, and one of the reasons why I like Dylan Parham so much when he came out of college is because no matter what you threw at him, he never seemed phased. He looked like he was always a step ahead of everybody else. I believe good offensive linemen, and I know Carmen Bracillo believes this. If you could put it together up here, and you're elite up here, you got high football IQ, everything else will fall into place. Peter Skoronski will be a player that I really, really go to bat for, and if he becomes a Raider, I'm telling y'all right now, you are going to freaking love this kid because he's a Pro Bowler. He's a straight-up Pro Bowler, man. Now, we do got some honorable mentions before we get into our top 4, and they didn't quite crack my top 10. I do like Chris Gonzalez. I still need to continue to watch a lot of tape because it's Gonzalez, Ringo, and Porter to me are the top 3 cornerbacks. Will Levis, we'll see where he ends up going. Trenton Simpson. I really, really like the linebacker out of Clemson, and honestly, man, the linebacker from Arkansas is starting to be another player that's really starting to climb up my board. Michael Mayer. Yes, he's a really good tight end, but if they move on from Foster Moreau, could be something to think about. Brian Branch and Bryan Bresee. Bryan Bresee, to me, is the one dude on this list I would love to be able to see him play because before the ACL injury, he would have been in my top 10. Since the ACL, I'm a little bit up in arms around him, but these are just some of my honorable mentions that didn't quite crack my top 10. Let's go to number 4 here. It's Myles Murphy, edge rusher out of Clemson. You're going to watch this guy's stock really start to climb, especially during the NFL Combine. He's a freak, and that's saying it. I mean, that's me saying this guy's getting all the flowers possible. He's got freakish speed, power, and agility for his size. The reason why Trayvon Walker went number 1 last year to the Jacksonville Jaguars is because he was just a freak athlete. And sometimes coaches are like, I'll take that guy because he can't. Normal people can't move like Myles Murphy. He's versatile. He's an instinctive edge rusher. His spin move is already elite at an NFL level. The fact that you got a guy who's already coming in the NFL with an elite move, especially like a spin move, I'm not going to throw out like Dwight Freeney. Dwight Freeney's spin move was insane. Murphy's a better athlete, though. So if he can really start putting together other technique and not always just trying to win with a spin move or power rush, Myles Murphy's stock's going to continue to climb. And remember, I know the Raiders took Clelin Ferrell. This is not even close to the same type of player. Murphy is light years better of an overall prospect. Number 3 here on my list is going to be Will Anderson Jr., and here's the part of the show where I'm going to be real with y'all. I don't see Will Anderson Jr. I honestly don't even know if the next 2 guys are going to fall to the Raiders at number 7. But the object of this show was to basically break down my top 10 players in the Raiders draft process. He is explosive off the line of scrimmage. He can beat you inside. He can beat you outside as a pass rusher. He does miss a lot of tackles in the backfield. That's my one knock on him. He didn't really miss too many last season. Last season, Will Anderson Jr. was, I'll say, probably the most pro-ready edge rusher from one season that I have seen since Von Miller. He was that good. I don't think he has the bend quite like Miller does. Will Anderson's a little bit more upright, but there's no doubt that this young man's going to be a good football player. So since I'm saying you probably have to trade up to get a guy like Will Anderson, do you want the Raiders to trade up or trade down from pick number 7? What would you do? Would you trade up? Would you trade down? If you're like, you know what, Mitch, I'm good. We're going to stick at 7. You can type that. As far as me, I am always team trade down. If a team's willing to trade up and we get an extra first-round pick or an extra second-round pick, I'll type down because this team does still have a lot of holes that they need to address. When you look at Will Anderson's career, though, the 2021 season, the year I'm talking about, 101 tackles, 31 tackles for loss, 17.5 sacks. That's crazy good. Defenses this year, they prepared for him a little bit more. They double-teamed him a little bit more frequently, and he was, at times, frustrated. He still put up good numbers, and he put up 3 really good years with the Alabama Crimson Tide and Nick Saban. Let's go to number 2. We're sticking with Bama here. It's quarterback Bryce Young. Bryce Young's size is the biggest knock on him. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He can process unbelievably quickly. His vision is elite, and I truly mean that. His size, though, is the weakness. He's got the arm talent. He's got the elite accuracy, great mobility. If Young was bigger, he would be hands down the number 1 overall pick or the number 1 guy on everybody's board. There was a scout that said that they believe Bryce Young's going to measure in at 5'10", 180 pounds. Sometimes with colleges, they'll bump up a few inches, don't we all, and they'll throw on a few pounds. Young, though, last season when he won the Heisman, 47 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, he had an incredible team. His wide receivers this past season were not nearly as good as what we saw in 2021. I mean, this past year he wasn't bad. 64.5% completion percentage, 3,328 yards, 32 touchdowns, 5 picks. Like, I know Bryce Young can be good. The injuries will scare me. He is a little guy. There's no doubt about it. I mean, 5'10", 180 pounds, that's me. That's literally what I am. So I think about him going up against players, it does make me a little uneasy. But when you watch him play, he will, no matter what, when he's in the huddle, he's going to bring confidence to that huddle. And I do think that that's the type of player that I'd be willing to take a chance on really high in the draft. Well, let's go to number 1 here. The number 1 guy I would love to get, defensive tackle from Georgia, Jalen Carter. If you can't win in the trenches, you're not going to win in the National Football League. Jalen Carter, whatever team he goes to, is going to help that team win in the trenches. Elite quickness, agility. Considering he's 6'3", 300 pounds, big guys aren't supposed to move like him. He is a dominant, and I'm talking capital D, dominant run defender. He can still get after the rusher. I will admit this. The tape that I have watched on him, when he gets double-teamed, okay, he can get discouraged at times. And what do I mean? He doesn't look like he always gives 100% effort on every play. Is his ability to continue to go in every single play and be great a concern? It is. Is conditioning a concern? It is. But I would hope in God and pray that the number 1 player that you take in the first round, you got the right skill position guys, you got the right coaching staff to get him in shape. I don't need a defensive tackle that goes out there and plays 60, 70 snaps. If I can get him for 40 really good snaps, that is worth it to me. If he wants to play a little bit more, shit, I ain't going to be worried about it. Jalen Carter is one of the best defensive tackle prospects I have seen in a very, very long time, and it fits what I believe is the biggest Raiders need on defense. So let's put a bow on today's show. Shout out to the nation. Here is my Raiders 2023 big board. Number 1, Jalen Carter, Bryce Young, Will Anderson, top 3. However, I do not see any of those players making down to the Raiders at 7, so you'd probably have to trade up. Myles Murphy, Peter Skoronski, C.J. Stroud, Tyree Wilson, Paris Johnson Jr., Joey Porter Jr., and then Kelee Ringo. Those are my Raiders players that I would love to be able to go out and target. If you made it this far in the video, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and tune in tomorrow when Jeremy Chuggs and I are live for Monday Night Football. Buccaneers up against the Cowboys. Hopefully y'all don't want to miss it. That's just another reason to hit that sub button.